Okay, so today I picked up a sheet of 3/4 polyethylene. I'm going to use as a skateboard deck. The one that I had before was curved and it made it hard for the steering to stay level on the board. It's hard for. Also, I looked around for flat skateboard decks, but I couldn't find one, so I just figured I'd have to use raw material. The polyethylene is pretty thick, so I think it should be pretty rigid. It's amazing. The progress so far is from it starting out as sort of a scooter board that was a hybrid skateboard. I've moved it more into like a actual skateboard. Like I was saying before, the polyethylene deck is flat, so the front part with the snowboard binding can move freely without hitting up on the curves on the board. I kept the urethane wheels and the bike hub holder because they're working good and they're pretty strong. Okay, do it. The batteries are just the same batteries. It's pretty substantial batteries. It adds the weight. It can be sort of a bear to carry around, but it's kind of nice having the extra power. The brakes, the disc brakes, they sometimes move a little bit and start rubbing on the calipers, but it's not terribly. It's not that bad. It's just kind of a nuisance, I think. So I think for the most part, I'm going to keep the front part, replace the deck, put some transfer bearings on the front so that any of the weight from turning doesn't end up mostly putting all the weight on my back foot. I had like arch issues when I tried to move the board and use it outside. I think it's mainly due because there's not much support in the front. It's very light in the front. I'd have to put my foot light because there's so much bounce in the polycarbonate. It's can't really be helped. But let me think. No, the front tracks work pretty well. They didn't show much wear. I'm sure there was some resistance, but it wasn't as bad as I expected it might have been. So that's a good thing. Yeah, so it's like a second phase. It's still like very much in trial and error. When I get it to really work, then it'd be nice to kind of have a unique board of some sort. Not that I'm totally out of the idea of getting a standard electric skateboard. It's just it'd be cool to have a utility board that's a little different. Plus the streets in Seattle, they're pretty gnarly. Lack of another word or a better word. They're kind of a little bit dilapidated. So it's nice to have a good amount of solid traction in the front to move around. Let me think, what else? Yeah, the polyethylene is about 1 inch larger, so I can fit more of the wires in. It's more of a wire management issue. If I can get more of the wires in between the batteries, it's yeah. Ideally, I just kind of want to get it going. So each iteration that I do it in, so I'm successful. I don't want to have to overhaul too much of it to lose the progress I made so far, which I don't think I do, but it's too early to speak about how it's going to come out. For now, I guess that's about it. Oh yeah, and I thought it was pretty important since it's Seattle, it kind of rains. It'd probably be a good idea to have some mud flap guard, polycarbonate flap to catch some of the water and stuff. It splashes back up. That's about all I can think about now to it. Oh yeah, the old parts I'll have to figure out. I'll probably recycle them something else. I'm sure down the road I might come up with another board I want to do, so that's thought about what I'm going to do with it. Actually, definitely I want to make another board. I like the idea of having a unique personal transport device, I guess. Yeah. Well, I know this video is mostly a talking head video. I just figured I'd update people on where I'm at right now with it. Not too much to it. Oh yeah. I can't really build it yet for now because the last part I have to do is with the transfer bearings. I want to set them into the board itself, and for that I did order one and 11/16 drill bit to recess it into the polyethylene board. But for to find that drill size, I couldn't find within the city, so I had to order it online. So no big issue there. I just have to be patient with it. What else? That's about it. But yeah, every time I do take it out and try to see how feasible it gets, it seems like it's getting better and better, but I just have to dial it in and get things to where they work without me having to think too much about what's going on and how it's moving. Because ideally, if I'm traveling around the city, I don't want it to be arduous just to get to a certain place. I kind of want to make it work for me, then I work for it. It's a project I'm working on. Okay, so this is kind of a side note, but since working on the board, I've actually had to build a bender for metal to bend metal and plastic. Oh, polycarbonate will bend. I had different iterations of it. I started wanting to make like a crush cage that was square, 8 by 8, but then I realized that the piece of the plastic would need space to bend up, so I ended up with using 3/4 by 2 with 1-inch threaded rods, sort of to hold it together. And I used the old die benders from one of those twist metal benders, but I found that it would put too much force on the twisting screw that would just strip it out. So I came to the realization that it'd be a lot more productive to use a bottle jack to actuate the bender to the brake teeth on the bender of sorts. Yeah, I just wanted to add that along because yeah, the board doesn't quite work right now, but it's nice that at least it sort of motivated me to build another tool that I can use for future projects I want to fabricate or such. Yeah. Oh yeah. Since I'm already here, I might as well say about the trucks. So I did have to bend the polycarbonate on the bottom here to the rest of this to get the trucks on to fit. There's 4 of them. I realized that I need to have stability in the front. That was the main problem about what wasn't really working for me. But since I do have them, I actually took it apart to see how they were moving, and there are bearings in there, so it should be smooth. Although it's not as smooth as like skate wheels, it is. It's acceptable and it's not too noisy. It's a little bit noise. It makes a little bit of noise, but it's not like a motorcycle or anything like that. It's totally reasonable. But yeah, I just want to add those few little things about it. I guess to be honest, it's a little bit trying, but it's also exciting because the prospect of what it could turn out to be is, I think, a lot more than the work it takes. Like, or at least I hope so. Like, no one can tell the future, but I think it's a worthy cause for me to try to do it. It's also helping me build my courage about like trying things and having it fail. Because if you just do projects that are on the computer, or art on the computer, it's easy to just delete the file and kind of move on. but to actually take something to the road, and maybe it doesn't quite work as I expect, it's still nice to push myself. And even in this infancy stage, people are sort of interested. I mean, I see people on the road staring and seeing what I'm doing. So it's obviously something that people don't see every day or of such. But yeah, I guess right now that project is what I'm doing right now. What's motivating me, or at least from sort of a way of not just thinking of a 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with 9 to 5, but it's just I like to be more creative with stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Can't do anything else. Oh yeah. I was thinking I definitely, before I would drill like 5/16 holes. Next time around, I want to drill like use a tap to thread it in, because it gets everything fit in nice and tight. I've noticed some spots that would be a little bit loose, and but it's less nuts to get in the way of stuff. Not that it's a problem to buy like locking nuts, but I figure it'd be more efficient. Plus, I already have taps, so it's not like it's out of my way just to thread each hole. It's probably a cleaner and more professional thing to do about it, but yeah. So no, I don't know when it's gonna be finished, and wow, that's pretty harsh light. But I'm just gonna keep at it till I can get something to help me just go around the city. Yeah. Alright, well.